All right, evening everybody. Welcome to the Fire Watch. So this is going to be the third segment that the consortium team is kind of putting on for the channels and everything like that. So if you look back through some of the videos and stuff like that, you'll be able to see that we've got the AAR, that's our after action reviews. Somebody went to a GT, they went to an RTT, something big, local, wherever they may have traveled in the United States. Shit, if you're on the cruise and stuff like that, like you might have been in foreign waters, who knows? This is going to be the third segment, though. So we have the after action review to kind of talk about how we did at tournaments and everything like that, and then we have the rock drill. That's our kind of our practice sessions and stuff like that. You've seen those videos come up soon, and this is going to be the Fire Watch. So for anybody that was in the military, they know exactly what I'm talking about right now. Again, our military, there's a ton of military within our team. So it's this kind of just comes naturally to us for talking about and everything like that. So, but for my military crew out there, like you guys know, the Fire Watch, stuff like that. So for you people that don't know anything like that, so Fire Watch is basically a security precaution that we take. Somebody is always awake, no matter what, on the team, whether we're in patrol base operations, if we're operating in other countries, if we're just going through some training scenarios and stuff. Somebody's always awake. And when it came to patrol base operations and stuff, when you were working with smaller teams out in the jungle or something like that, you maintain percentages of security. 100%, everybody's awake. 50%, 50% of the guys are awake, 33%. Man, you loved hearing like, all right, we're going to 33%. That means somebody's getting fed, somebody's going to get to eat, somebody's going to sleep. We're very happy at that point. So, but Firewatch was always like the time where you got a whole shit ton of time to yourself, and it was like time to like reflect on the day or just try to chew on your lip and stay awake. Like throwing in Copenhagen, whatever it was going to be, like keep you awake, like rip a cigarette if you weren't actually in a situation where that was going to keep you away. But yeah, like that's what Firewatch was. It was keeping all the boys safe while they were asleep and things like that. So it's what I came up through during my military time, and the Firewatch was it was always interesting. You probably had never been more tired. You probably never more like zombie walked in your life than when you were on Firewatch. So it's just kind of our time, though, that for the consortium, it's going to be our time to kind of sit, talk about what's going on in the 40K world, things that interest us, but also get our hobbying done, get our painting done. Right now, I'm working on a Lord of Contagion right now for my Death Guard army. So um, that's kind of going to be what my Fire Watch is going to be tonight. I've got some stuff I'm getting ready for Las Vegas Open here in the first week of October. It's going to be the first time it's ran in October, so it's kind of exciting. New venue this year. It's going to be pretty big, pretty important for stuff like that. It's going to be happening. So whole new venue. Looks like rooms are going to be out at the Golden Nugget. I don't know if any of you guys have been in Vegas before, but the Golden Nugget, it's got its own history and stuff. It's recently refurbished a whole lot of stuff. So, but that's going to be what I'm aiming for next. It's going to be my next big tournament, and I think that's next big tournament for a majority of the team right now. We've got a couple guys. We've got guys in different countries. We got guys all across the United States for our team, for the consortium. That are getting ready to compete in various different things. But a good chunk of us are going to be headed out to the Las Vegas Open. So if you see us out there, please come by, say hi, anything like that. We'd love to just hang out with you, think what you thought of the channel, just hear your thoughts on the channel, and just come hang out with the team. We usually have a great time out there. We're usually dead on our feet by Sunday, like most everybody that goes out to the Las Vegas Open. If you haven't been out there before, I've had guys that say that was their very first tournament ever that they went to, and it's some guys been going since it first started back in the day. So it's a widespread of experience out there for the people that are going to the Las Vegas Open, but it's a super fun time. We've been out there 3 times with the team. And every single year, it's a great time, like just hanging out with the guys and meeting a whole bunch of folks, and then meeting some of the big streamers and stuff. And 40K has really taken off in the last couple of years. Really, like it's really gotten popular too, and it's been a lot better with social media and things like that. It's been easier for it to take off and kind of grow a bigger fan base. But this year, they're talking about it being probably the biggest that it's ever has been, and they're bringing a lot of games back that we haven't seen in years. Even like Magic the Gathering and stuff coming in. I used to be a Magic player back in the day. I was going through infantry school and ranger school out at Fort Benning, and it was awesome. Like my buddy picked me onto, he was just like, hey, try this thing out. And then suddenly there were Magic cards all over my house. My wife got pissed, and, I had to choose one or the other. So I stuck with 40K overall, but Magic is still close to heart, and I still love to play it once in a while. I still play it on my phone. But yeah, so it's always been a good time. But so I also do my own painting. I have my own studio and stuff that I keep. So you can look me up on Instagram. Spilled Pot Painting. I paint a lot of stuff. I've painted stuff for the team, everything like that. But I've worked with all sorts of different kinds of models, whether it was D&D, 40K. I had a buddy that had me do some mechs for his. I forgot what the name of the game was, but it was like Mech Warrior was what I remembered back in the day. But whatever it is now, I cannot remember the name of the robots. But it's just like I've done all sorts of different painting. You'll see them on there. Some commissions that I've done, things like that. But if you ever want to give me a follow, give me a like, anything like that, you can come out and see some of the work I've done. Or if you want some work done, feel free to hit me up at any point on there through my messages and stuff. But right now, I'm just working on my Lord of Contagion tonight because I have a feeling he's probably going to be coming to Las Vegas with me at this point. So I need to get him ready, plus a couple drones and stuff over there to get ready, some Chaos Spawn. I really haven't settled on the list I want to take to Las Vegas yet. We'll see what it's going to be. But that one's going to be, that's going to be an interesting one. Because, of course, the recent update and everything happened. So kind of still figuring out ourselves. We're now in what is today, like September 5th today. So I imagine we're probably going to be seeing the balance data or the balance data slate here upcoming for rules. I know we saw points. Death Guard kind of got a good smack on the points. Roughly, 10% of the army and stuff was going out. But the update for rules and stuff is going to come. We're going to see if it's been enough for what has happened thus far with points, if that was enough to keep us off the chopping block for further rules updates. I know there's mixed opinions on it, but the points definitely felt like the right touch. And I could honestly, in my mind, don't want it to happen, could see it happen. One or two rule adjustments will probably come down, honestly. From what I've seen in GW in the past and what they like to do, they really, sometimes when there's a problem army out in the world, they tend to get the triple tap at that point, like rules, points, everything, it goes down hard, and then the army feels nearly unplayable. But regardless of where Death Guard lands, I will always continue to play them. Those guys over in Discussing the Resilient podcast and stuff, they're very much the same way. No matter what happens, we're going to be here. And that's how I feel the exact same way about it. So if you go over and see them at all, they have some really, really good points, especially if you're a competitive Death Guard player. They're a great channel to check out. So huge shout out to them, Aiden and all those guys. They do some fantastic content, and they have been rolling for a couple of years now. Or not, I guess not too many years on the channel, but there have been a couple experienced Death Guard players over there that have been playing around for a while. And those guys, they really know what they're talking about and stuff. But me personally, I love Death Guard. I picked them up back in 2020 at this point. So I've been playing them through the thick and the thin as well. And it's definitely been, we've had a very high year this year with our codex and everything dropping. It's been a fantastic year with playing Death Guard and stuff. It's been very powerful. Sadly, I didn't make it out to too many tournaments while we were as powerful as we have been. I played out at the Lone Star Open, had a 4-2 record there, so it was not bad. I was hoping to go at least a 5-1. I had just done Rocky Mountain Open not too long ago, and I had a 5-1 showing out there with Death Guard prior to the Codex dropping, so it was something I was very familiar with. And then we had the Codex drop, and I hadn't had too many competitive games. That was actually my first competitive tournament with our Codex with Death Guard and everything, how they were working. So it was definitely a learning experience, kind of figure out where I want to go. Obviously, I could have checked online. It's all right, what was the most competitive, super broken or OP build or anything like that, and just made that and gone out there with it. But I really don't like to do that. I kind of like to build my own way. So I took one of the least competitive detachments out there, was the Death Lord's Chosen, which was their Terminator detachment. I love playing my Terminators, obviously. Painting one right now, Lord of Contagion. He's a Terminator body, one of the leaders. But that was a really, really fun experience and really good to see where the Army is. It's been very fun to play. And even after the points updates, like the points updates were necessary, very much in my opinion. They were definitely necessary. Like Death Guard needed a touch. It felt like they did the right thing. I don't feel like the points were like overblown by any stretch of the imagination. Like we're still good. Like we can still compete 100%. We can compete in the upper tiers. We can compete top tables. I think even after the points adjustments, I was watching a few other videos. I believe we still I think won one or two events over the last 2 weeks. So I think like we're still in good shape. But uh, funny thing with that is now we're seeing with those points updates, and we're of course not the only ones that got hit. Chaos Knights, they were a very big one that got hit, um, and then Imperial Knights also got their hit as well. So all those top armies got their moment in the sun, and then it got pushed away pretty quickly. But with the points updates that came out, like seeing a lot of spread in the tournaments this week, like seeing Eldari win, um, seeing I think Custodes put up a win, Eldari put up a win. There's definitely quite a few armies out there that we hadn't seen there in a little while, and it was just great to see a lot of those armies coming out because when we get into the meta where one army is dominating 60+% and stuff, it's a problem. Like everybody remembers not too long ago when Drakari were like just running their monster mash spam, and then they were destroying everybody, and then Tyranids had their same time with the big monsters and everything like that. And there were problems here and there, but most of them got balanced pretty well, pretty quickly. Orcs, I guess the most recent one. Yeah, everybody remembers the shooting, really, really good shooting orcs, where it wasn't just now mass numbers anymore. It was they were good at shooting and mass numbers. So point, click, delete. It was a very interesting time. But yeah, so after the data slate, I'm thinking Death Guard is still doing pretty good. We'll see what the rules update. In my heart of hearts, I feel like the data slate rules are probably going to come out in this next week, probably by next Wednesday, I would assume. It feels about right for it to come out this time. And we still haven't received our emails on what the rules break off and stuff for Las Vegas Open is going to be. But so this is obviously going to be in play, whatever happens now. So it's going to be a big decider of what my list is going to be for Las Vegas Open. Right now, I'm kind of leaning between playing the Virulent Victorum, which is our sticky objectives army. They're fantastic. They're good. They're really strong. They have a bunch of awesome stratagems, including our original like disgusting and resilient -1 damage. Now that it's been fixed, it's actually good, and it's still 2 CP, but at least we can use it in more than just the fight phase, which was absolute bullshit back in the day. But we're past that. We're over it. Virulent Victorum is still super strong. It's probably one of the two armies I would assume is probably going to get a touch if it gets touched by rules. The other one being, of course, Mortarian's Hammer, which was the more vehicle heavy detachment that was point and like from across the board turn one. I could infect, like if anybody knows how Death Guard work, we have contagions. They spread across the board, and we play a debuff army, so it makes you worse and you have to play on our terms. So it's fantastic that way. I love playing the debuff army. But with Hammer of Wrath, how contagions really worked were it started at 3 inches. If you were within that distance, you were infected, and then it went to 6 inches turn 2 and 9 inches turn 3. With the hammer, with Mortarian's Hammer, I could pick 2 units, didn't matter what, nothing protected you, lone op, anything like that. I could pick 2 units and make them infected across the board, and then we would use our indirect assets, which our big thing was the Plague Burst Crawlers, and we would just hammer you from across the board, and it would just start causing mortal wounds, and you were already weak, and all things that happened, and we'd affect mood and all sorts of stuff, and it was just really, really good. Of course, indirect overall in the game is a non-interactive. You can't hide from it. Like, yes, they've made it to where basically any army generally going to be hitting on a 4-up for how it's going to work. But yeah, indirect, super non-interactive. It's never been my favorite playstyle. Me, I was very much more of an in-your-face, can you handle 15 Terminators and stuff like that. And if you had the answer, sweet, you were going to win the game. If you didn't, which most people don't, you weren't going to be able to handle it, and I would just overrun overrun and win the points that way. So that was kind of more of my play style, and I still play very similar to that. I like to play very not not necessarily fast because Death Guard are not fast generally. We're inevitable and we'll eventually try to get to you and get to you the best we can. But that's my play style was very much like in your face. Like I could drop everything out of Deep Strike on turn 2, and then I was like, can I land 1 or 2 9-inch charges? And it was very significant. Like landing a 9-inch charge in turn 2 was very upsetting for an opponent, and it can completely destroy their game plan. And usually I like to play very much where I see what heavy side you're going to go to, whether it's going to be your standard expansion side, or if you're going to go kind of try to run left wing, right wing, whatever it's going to be, and you're not going to go to your expansion objective. You're going to try to go for my expansion objective. And I would actually just put the majority of my army on that side and meet you, because Death Guard wants to play like close to me, close to you. That's how we like to play, because then you get within our contagion range, things start being affected, and you can be within my range. So I'm just trying to pull a straight line here. There we go. Doing a little bit of highlighting work on my capes and stuff back here. So just trying to get this guy done, make him look nice. There we go. But get you within my contagion range, and then you have to play by my rules, whether it's going to be your leadership gets lowered or your save gets lowered, or recently, like if you watch other videos, Trav is a guy I play with a lot, and he hates it when I say -1 to his roll. So anytime he is using an attack, whether it's shooting or melee, he's -1 to his hit, and he absolutely hates it because he loves hitting on 2s and 3s the entire game, and I just don't like it when he does that. So I get to choose when he does and does not do that. So it's been fantastic. All right, what are we shifting to next? A little Iron Warrior. So been using a lot of these Citadel paints. I've been using Citadel paints for years. I do love them. I know they're more expensive, and there's some great brands out there. Like Army Painter is one that I also love to use. Their stuff has been fantastic. I use their airline. I use their standard kind of just all layering lines, but they've been fantastic. So I know there's quite a few of them out there, but I do suggest for any painters, like if you really want to get into painting, there's so much content online to be able to like really get into painting. And it's something that I enjoy, and I know it's a very hard part of our hobby that we actually, it's really hard to sit down and paint a lot of points. And I've got quite a few points that I want to paint here. Like I've got some Chaos Spawn that I've got to be painting here soon. Some drones that I need to be painting. I've got to get through this Lord of Contagion tonight. Get all his stuff done, and so I can move on to the next one, because, well, Helvio is literally like right around the corner. Like we're just over probably 3 weeks. We're probably at like 3.5 weeks and stuff right now before we actually get to LVO, and I gotta get all this stuff painted so it's ready to go for the tabletop. And then I also got to solidify my list. So hey, G-Dub, if you could go ahead and just drop that data slate so I know what I'm going to be playing come LVO time, that'd be fantastic. So, but who knows? I'm guessing this Wednesday we'll probably see that data slate come out. But so speaking of the data slate, like I know that's been a big contentious. Like there was some points hits on quite a few armies, which Votann, I don't know why Votann got hit. That seems a little bit strange to me. I've got a buddy that's a Votann player, Trav, also. So he's recently been playing a lot more Chaos Demons than Votann, but he is a very dedicated and the only dedicated like Votann player on our team. But he's very knowledgeable in the army. He plays it very well. But he has put them down for a little bit of like demons work that he's been wanting to play lately. So that's been pretty interesting to play against, because I'm pretty sure when me and him were playing against his Votann, I think he might have beaten me 2 or 3 times overall. But my Death Guard were like the perfect answer to the Votann. He was slow like I was, and it was just who could outlast longer. And I had better rules and more units to outlast longer. So plus we were at a cheaper price, and it was a much better. It was a good matchup for me. So I didn't feel too afraid ever going into a Votann fight after playing him. So it was definitely. I mean, there's definitely some Votann players out there that could probably take me down, but they were a good matchup for us because they tried to do a lot of the same things we did. Like, let's be tough, let's outlast people, And they just didn't. They've been so up and down with the numbers. They were another one of those that got like, okay, here they are. Okay, wait, they were way overpowered. Let's go ahead and give them the triple tap and just kill the army right now. So that was rough for them, but they're coming back and they're becoming good again. I don't know why they got a somewhat of a points hike, not too terrible, not to where it's really been on anybody's radar. Mostly the Chaos Knights, Imperial Knights, and Death Guard were on the radar for who's going to get hit with points. So, but we're doing pretty good still. I would say we're still doing pretty good. But I kind of want your guys' opinion. Like, who are going to be the new big scaries? Like, who are the new big scaries with that points drop happening? Of course, rules are going to happen this week, so this could all eventually change. But even at the Lone Star Open that I just played in Texas, I played against a Custodes player and then I wasn't the only one that played against Custodes players, and then I got to talk to some guys about it, and we're going to be talking about one here on the consortium here pretty soon. We're going to get together and talk about Custodes and stuff because we've all had a little bit of an experience with them. We have a Custodes player on the team. Corey is pretty good, and it's been kind of a scary experience. They absolutely destroyed me in my game. It was absolutely terrible. My opponent landed an 11-inch charge, a 9-inch charge, and two 7-inch charges in his second turn. My mistake for getting way too close and allowing that to happen. So, not saying like, no, it's unfair. They're super overpowered and they can't do it. No, they're definitely in a good space. They're in a great space for where they are, and they can definitely be competed with and everything like that. They're not overpowered by any stretch of the imagination. You just have to play different for them. And I need to be at, hey, I'm now at 12.1 inches. You can't make that charge, even if you advance forward and be able to shoot charge, everything like that. So I need to make better tactical decisions to not put myself in a situation where he has a chance to land an 11-inch charge, a bunch of 9-inch charges and stuff like that. Because, dice games be dicing. So it's just going to be a thing. But yeah, I feel like Custodes are going to be in a really good spot because they also have a very unique ability, in my opinion, of they're an army that works better by themselves. So the further those units get apart, the better their army gets. So that's the big rule for them now is if you are 6 inches further away than from any other unit, you're 6 inches away from any other unit, you get the +1 to hit, +1 to wound. So that's an extremely good rule, and especially with how small their army is, they're very much I'm going to operate as a small unit tactics kind of guy. So MSU play style, they're it's just kind of how they work. So, and they've gotten really buffed because of it. So most armies generally have to operate with their support very close to them. And even in my army, it's the very same way. Like one of my centerpieces is Mortarion. The sweet thing about his rules is he has a lot of things he can do for units per turn, whether it's going to be I can fight on death, I can shoot back at you in the shooting phase, or I can make probably the one I use the most is going to be the reactive movement. But you've got to be within 9 inches of Mortarion to get that to happen. So that's probably the biggest, or no, sorry, within 6 inches, I think. Yeah. I think overall, yeah, I think within 6 inches actually, where you actually have to be for that. So it's a big difference. Like if I get out of Mortarion's range, cool, he gets to use it on himself, but maybe I want to use it on my 6-man Death Shroud unit with my Lord of Contagion and stuff in there to keep everybody alive at that extremely important part of the game where I need to adjust my movement and stuff like that. But so I have to operate with my guys close to their support to make them the most effective. But Custodes is very opposite of that. And another example is one that I ran into at the Lone Star Open again. Was I was playing against Admech, and Admech has a lot of really cool abilities when you're close to battle line units, especially their what are they called, the not Dune Crawlers, but they're close combat specialists. If they're next to battle line and stuff, they get like extra movement, additional stuff like that. But then it's like locked to phase instead of actually locked to the turn, or the players not the battle round necessarily, but the player turn at least. So they get from their movement phase, they're like, all right, sweet, I have all the pluses and everything because I'm standing next to battle line. I run it forward. Battleline, of course, can't keep up at that point because they don't have the rules, they don't have the movement and stuff like that. And of course, they're not like running Battleline to Battleline. They could do it, but it's hard, especially early game, to like get that pre-positioned. So they end up outrunning their support units, and then they go to get those bonuses come the next phase, like on the charge, when it's going to be extremely important for them to get that +1 or whatever it might be. And it's not going to be there. It's not going to be there anymore because they've now outran, and it's checked at the phase instead of checked on the turn, which a lot of armies have their stuff checked on the turn. So, they could use a tune-up, especially, but I feel like they could definitely use a tune-up. They feel a little bit underpowered, and I mean we all suffered through times when they were strong, and they'll have their time in the sun again. I don't doubt it, but they just feel like they could use a little bit of a tune-up right now, because I think they're still hovering down in the low to mid 40s for their win rates. So they could definitely use a little bit of love at times, but we'll see what it's going to be. But so Big Bad Scaries are the new one of this new and upcoming data slate. Of course, the Imperial Knights Codex just dropped, so now we're seeing it's not, I guess, not fully dropped or anything yet, but the everything's been revealed now. Now it's official, so we know exactly what we're going to be looking at with Knights, and I definitely feel like the. I'm so glad their Feel No Pain is gone. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Everybody out there that isn't an Imperial Knights player was just like, yay, thank God, because you do 27 wounds to a knight and he saves 8 or 9 of them, and then suddenly there's a knight still standing there. You're like, well, that's a problem. So it's definitely, I'm glad that Feel No Pain is gone. They have some really cool new abilities. I'm excited to see where the army's going to go. Of course, I'm guessing the points are still going to stand for a little while, at least. So they're going to be down a knight in the big list. Probably, if they were just running the all big knights list, they're probably going to be down a knight, adding a couple of their smaller knights, and that's probably what the new list is going to be. But honestly, yeah, they have options: big knight, small knight. That's kind of their options. But and whatever their new lists are going to be, we're going to start seeing them come out here pretty soon. But I'm super excited to see where knights are going to be. I think they're still going to be relatively strong. The new honor system of what they earn versus whether you pre-choose what you're going to earn when you get your honor kill or whatever it's going to be for their new rules, or if you let it go randomly and then you get the CP bonus and everything like that. It's going to be cool to see, but I think they're still going to be highly competitive for a while. So they're just good, and forever they will always be there we go. Forever they will always just be a mid-table, like you have to have this in your army. Can you answer knights? If you can't, you're not going to go to the top tables. It's just going to be a thing. So they've always been one of those mid-table contenders, just like Death Guard has been. Like you had to be able to handle Death Guard, you had to be able to handle Death Shroud at the mid tables to be able to move on and start playing at the big tables at that point. So but there we go. So we're working with our brass scorpion now. I'm just doing a few of my bronze highlights over here. Working on our 4th highlight at this point. Oh, we've just been talking. So, what do you guys think, though? Who are going to be some of the big new scaries? I think Custodians are going to see some good time in the sun. I think they're going to be a really good shine. Of course, Raven Guard and stuff, they've got the up and coming with new models and everything like that. They're going to be looking at it. Another thing is, like, what's the new battle box going to be like? Of course, everybody's expecting 11th to be not too far around the corner. So, and there's always a battle box that comes out with that one. It's going to be the 11th edition box. Like, who's going to be on that one? I don't know if it's going to be. I could see Black Templar. I mean, Black Templar's just got a codex and stuff like that, but they've been talked about quite a bit lately. So I could see them, being one that's going to probably come out at some point. And I actually started playing way, way back in the day. I've been playing since 3rd edition. And Black Templar were actually the very first army I ever started back in the day. I bought the Orc Black Templar box. I can't remember what it was called. What's the Siege something or other? But it was a super cool box. But I never even knew what Black Templar were back in the day, and I started painting an army. I had a rattle can of black paint in my garage, so I used that on the guys, and then I had painted their shoulder stripes, what complete white shell, and then I did a red cross on one side and a black cross on the other. And the guy that actually taught me how to play 40K back in the day was actually was like, "Hey, you just made them all look like Black Templar. Are you playing Black Templar?" I was like, "I guess so. I don't know what Black Templar are," because I had actually given my army a completely different name because I wasn't even sure how all that was supposed to work. But way back in the day, it didn't matter as much. And still to this day, you can always paint whatever you want. You know how many varying chapters there are based on. There was spring off chapters in the second founding and everything like that for our lore guys out there, stuff like that. So there were so many things, and there's ones that weren't even ever discovered. They went off and started doing their own thing in the Emperor's name and never came back, never looked back. So yeah, I made those guys way back in the day. So I would love to see Black Templar be back in a release box again. That would be fantastic. Maybe see Helbrecht and stuff and those guys like be in a release box somewhere. I know that would be a huge ask, but seeing somebody's main as Helbrecht being a part of that. But I would love to see that happen again. And I don't think we've seen Eldar recently enough in a release box that there's been a big thing. I mean, we've seen the Tyranids, we've seen the Necrons. They've all been really, really good ones, really great releases and stuff. I mean, shit, the Lord of Silence when he came out was just world ending there for a while. Just doing a little focused highlight here, some of these higher bronze areas. So when I start doing these more again, I'll start having a second camera here, kind of showing you guys what I'm working on and painting and stuff like that. So you have something else to focus on than just listening to me randomly rant about data slate updates and where I think Death Guard are competitively, which I still think we're in a good place. So not a bad place. Like we're definitely a bit more controlled now, and the points updates definitely I'm feeling those. But of course, you guys probably want to see a little bit more painting, and I'll try to post some of this stuff on Spill Pop Paintings Instagram and stuff like that, so you can see the pictures from tonight that I've been working on, and just trying to get this guy ready to go so he's bright and beautiful for his debut at Las Vegas Open, running with my Death Shroud Terminators, because even at 160 odd points, they are still very good. Point for point, I still think they're some of the best Terminators in the game. Because T7 is just a huge breakpoint. For anybody that doesn't know what a breakpoint is, like it's a severe number, like the dice are going to take a severe change for if you can't step up to being able to easily wound something that is T7 or higher. So, and most of my armies, like T7 is the low end of what the list that I like to run, minus, my Poxwalkers and stuff, they're going to be T4, but I have to have those in the list because I need action junkies. Like I need them to be able to action monkeys, action junkies, whatever they're going to be. I need them to be able to go out and do the things for me. So, but a majority of a lot of the stuff I like to run is, Terminators and drones and things like that. And I've been doing that for a while. I did have my heyday back playing like Plague Marines and stuff, but I was never really great at it. It just wasn't my play style. Like those guys, I always put them in the wrong spot. They always died too quickly and stuff like that. I like playing a little bit more tougher guys, a little bit more elite infantry, a lot of mechanics, stuff like that. So that's just kind of where I landed at with Death Guard. So, but we'll see what the if the rules updates bring something new. I guess hey, I gotta adjust. I gotta evolve with the army and how it's going to be. But even if we get the triple tap and like Death Guard are going to drop to a 30% win rate, I will be here and still play this army for forever because I love playing the army. It's my favorite army to play. It's my favorite army I've ever played. And I've played Black Templars early on through third, fourth, and all the way up into sixth or fifth and sixth. And then I put them down for a while. I picked up Imperial Guard. That dates me, I guess, at that point. So Astra Militarum for all you newer guys out there. But before the GW is going to get sued for stuff. But yeah, so I've been playing, and then I put those guys down, and then that list actually ended up getting stolen from me. So almost my entirety of my Imperial Astra Militarum army got stolen. So, but I'm over that at this point. But And then then I moved to Death Guard after them and been playing them ever since. So I picked up Death Guard, in 2020, and it was just been such a fun army to play. I didn't ever think I was going to be a Chaos player. I was all, for being, loyal and stuff like that. But I love playing a Chaos army. So I'll just live and breathe this for a long time. I like the faction specialize. I don't run multiple armies simultaneously or anything like that. I know that's like a lot of guys can do that. And I'm just not very good at doing that. I really like to faction specialize and figure out, even in our darkest moments, like when we're at that 30% win percentage, like how can I still pull out a winning record, those 4-2s, those 5-1s, and stuff like that? How can I do that? How can I get there? And that's what I want to be for Death Guard always. And I want to continue to play them. They speak to me that way, and I just want to be able to continue to do that. So I'm kind of excited as well for the hits on Death Guard, because that means not as many people are going to play Death Guard anymore. I mean, we still have a really good showing percentage for players, but it was a little rough going into um, Lone Star Open and being like 10% of the field, because then it was like, oh, they look at you and they're like, oh, you just jumped on this, like you just been on there, like you jumped on because Death Guard were good. No, I've been playing Death Guard since they were extremely bad, and I love playing Death Guard though. So, and I will continue to play them from here on out for a long time. It'll probably be my army until my son's old enough to pick up an army. And if he wants to play Death Guard, I can give him mine, and then I can start something new. One thing I was actually thinking of starting, I have the models for it, was I was going to play um, a Space Wolf army and the Vilka Fenrica. Because Space Wolves, nobody likes it's a Space Wolf. That plays Space Wolves knows that they do not like to be called Space Wolves, the Vilka Fenrica. But yeah, if you ever read a lot of the lore and stuff like that. But they're a super interesting army with a super awesome model range, and I love the idea. And I came from Alaska, lived in Alaska most of my life. So I love the cold. I love being out there. Grew up around wolves, everything like that. So I think if I ever walked away from Death Guard and gave it up for a while, I would go directly to Space Wolves. That's what I would want to play, because one, the model range is amazing, and I can do all sorts of styling and painting with them. Their painting base alone is just fantastic, because so many armies don't look like that. They have so many just unique builds, especially like their Terminators and stuff with the furs and all the trinkets and medallions and everything like that they have in their bodies, and the fetishes and things. Just everything they have in their body is so cool to be able to paint that army. But if I painted that army, I would do it as, if you have read through the lore, they believe in things called wights. So basically, the wights are, when their guys die, they become these, think of them almost as Grim Reapers, um, but they go through the world as spirits, avenging and going after those that killed them. And so I kind of would love to make white, a white Space Wolf army. So they would all be already dead. Everybody would be undead at that point, which I realize is kind of closer to Death Guard. Like Death Guard's kind of dead, but not dead, because you need anything. Because unlimited growth, but unlimited disease and death. But yeah, so I would want to make them, but I bought like the zombie wolves and stuff like that. I already have them. I have them built. So I want to make all my wolf cavalry and stuff like undead wolves, and then all the wolves that are part of the army, they would all look undead. All the guys would look undead. Their armor would be in that point and stuff, and everybody would be helmeted, because I mean, like one or two guys I could probably make with skeleton heads, but like have their wolf, like they've been promoted, not promoted, I guess they're dead, but like make them the wights and stuff like that. Like make them purely there to find and seek and be the inevitable like death that is going to come for you, that comes from their lore and stuff like that. But they're like, every time their guys die, they know they're going to see them again eventually. Who knows where they're gonna find them or see them? But until next winter, is the saying goes. Um, but yeah, I think that's the army I would probably step to after this, if I was going to be moving on from Death Guard ever. But I mean, I'm going to be around Death Guard for a while. I faction specialize for the team and everything like that. I just love the play style of them, and I want to continue to be that guy and just keep working with Death Guard and stuff. I kind of hope we get into another slump where we're going to be kind of low for a while, because I then end up being like the only guy that's playing Death Guard at tournaments and stuff like that. And then people forget how to handle Death Guard. And then I start really finding some new, unique play styles, which are really fun to do, is finding those new builds and stuff and models that I haven't had in my range before that I can play with and have. And it makes it really, really fun. So I'm doing a little oxidation right now on my guy's armor just to make him look like he's been here for a long time. So I'm just at this point. But thank you guys for joining me for the Firewatch tonight and kind of helping me stay awake, because that's one of the hardest things. If you guys have ever, I know for those guys that have been on a Firewatch before, it's tough to stay awake. But you do it to take care of your brothers and your buddies, everything like that. So, and just like in everything we do here, I mean, you hear it all the time when you're playing out there with the guys and stuff there. They call each other brother and things like that. And it's just a tight-knit community. It's been a fantastic being part of the 40K community, especially watching it grow over the years, watching it grow from what was like Garage Hammer, and it didn't have a name and people didn't even know what it was. And it's, it's the most played tabletop game there is out there now. So, but it was nice just seeing it all grow from where it was to where it is, where it has become now, where we have massive teams, and it's not just how everybody else thinks of us, like a bunch of guys that don't know how to have hygiene. They're, we're super out of shape and everything, and that's the life we live. And they're just nerds, and we're all virgins and shit like that. So it's just nice to see where it's grown and what it's become now. So it's been fantastic. So. But we'll probably get ready to close out with you guys. It's going to be somebody else's shift on the Firewatch, so I'm going to go wake up the next guy, and I guess we'll see you guys next time. So please hit us up if you guys got any questions. If anybody wants to talk competitively Death Guard and stuff, please shoot me out a message or anything like that. Or if you want to talk about painting, or if you want to get anything painted, please let me know. So I'm getting ready to have 6 months of quiet for work, so I'll be available. But we'll see you guys all next time. Really appreciate it. My Lord Contagion is basically there now. Just got to get some basing done. He's looking pretty gorgeous. I like him. I don't know if we're ever going to be able to see that. No, probably not. No, I'll eventually do another video, but yeah. So my Lord Contagion's done minus his basing, and he's ready to fit into the army. I've been waiting to paint this guy for probably 2 years now. So, because Lord Contagion hasn't been the greatest in a long time. So it's nice to actually have him as part of my army now and have him painted up the way I wanted him to look. But he's looking pretty slick. He's ready to go. So we'll see you guys next time on the Firewatch, or hopefully you see one of our other channels for the rock drills. If you guys wanted to start like seeing some competitive play, and hopefully you can take some notes from that, or see our after action reviews, and you can kind of see how our play has gone and how our plans were working, and kind of see that's going to be a lot more of our see our shifts in the meta and stuff like that. So, but we'll see you guys next time on the Firewatch.